Imagine living in a world where the darkness hides things that should never exist. Across different cultures and centuries, people have told terrifying stories about creatures that stalk the night, monsters that drink human blood, cursed spirits that wander endlessly with sacks full of bones, and witches who can transform into animals to hunt their victims. These legends were not just meant to entertain. For many communities, they were warnings, stories passed down from generation to generation about dangers that might still lurk in the shadows. From a creature that can tear its own body in half and fly through the night searching for prey, to a towering spirit whose distant whistle signals death, the world of mythology is filled with horrors that defy logic. The most disturbing part is that even today, people from remote villages to modern cities still claim to see things they cannot explain. So the question remains, are these creatures simply myths, or are they something far more real than we want to believe? Tonight, we explore some of the most terrifying mythical creatures ever described. One of the most terrifying creatures in Southeast Asian folklore comes from the Philippines. This creature is known as the Manananggal, a name that roughly translates to the one who separates itself. The name comes from the creature's most disturbing and unnatural ability. During the daytime, the Manananggal can appear completely normal. Many stories describe her as a quiet woman living among villagers, blending in with ordinary people. She may look like an elderly woman, or sometimes a mysterious young woman who keeps to herself. Nothing about her appearance would immediately reveal the horror she becomes after sunset. But when night falls, her true form is revealed. According to legend, the Manananggal separates the upper half of her body from the lower half. Her internal organs hang grotesquely from her torso, while large bat-like wings grow from her back. With only the upper half of her body, the creature lifts into the air and disappears into the darkness. Once airborne, the Manananggal begins its hunt, silently gliding over villages in search of human victims sleeping peacefully below. In many stories, people say the creature moves so quietly that no one realizes it is there, until it is already too late. Once the Manananggal takes flight, the real horror begins. Moving silently through the night sky, the creature drifts above villages and homes, searching for its next victim. The darkness becomes its greatest ally, allowing it to approach unnoticed while most people are fast asleep. The Manananggal has a terrifying method of hunting. From its mouth extends a long, thin, tube-like tongue, similar to a proboscis. This strange tongue can stretch far enough to reach victims inside their homes. Hovering above a roof or outside a window, the creature slowly lowers its tongue down toward its target. Once it finds a victim, it begins to suck their blood while they sleep, often without waking them. According to many stories, the Manananggal does not choose its victims randomly. It is believed to target newly married couples, lovers, newborn babies, and especially pregnant women. In the darkest versions of the legend, people claim the creature can even drain life from an unborn child inside the womb. Because of these terrifying tales, people in many villages once took great care at night. Windows were shut tightly, roofs were secured, and families prayed for protection, hoping the Manananggal would pass their home without stopping. The Manananggal does not rely only on darkness to hunt. According to legend, it also uses a disturbing trick that confuses anyone who might hear it approaching. While flying through the night, the creature often makes a strange sound that echoes through the darkness. People describe it as a soft tick-tick-tick noise, almost like something lightly tapping in the distance. But the terrifying part is that the sound is deceptive. In many stories, villagers say the sound works in the opposite way of what people expect. If the ticking noise sounds loud and very close, it actually means the Manananggal is still far away. But if the sound seems faint or distant, it means the creature may already be very close to you. This strange trick makes it extremely difficult for anyone to know where the monster really is. Someone might hear the faint ticking and assume the danger is far away, while the creature could already be hovering just above their home. Because of this legend, people who heard strange sounds at night often chose to stay inside their houses and avoid going outside, fearing that the Manananggal might be lurking somewhere in the darkness nearby. Despite its terrifying power, the Manananggal is not completely invincible. According to legend, the creature has one major weakness that brave people could use against it. When the Manananggal separates its body at night, only the upper half flies away to hunt, while the lower half remains hidden somewhere on the ground. This part of the body cannot move and must stay in the same place until the creature returns before sunrise. Usually the lower half is hidden in dark and isolated places such as thick bushes, hollow trees, or abandoned areas far from people. The creature relies on darkness and secrecy to keep this vulnerable part safe. However, if someone manages to find the lower half, they can stop the monster from surviving the night. In many versions of the legend, people say that the lower body can be destroyed or weakened by sprinkling salt, spreading ash, or placing garlic on it. Some stories even say the body should be burned completely to make sure the creature can never return. If the upper half of the Manananggal cannot reconnect with its lower body before sunrise, the creature is believed to die instantly, trapped forever in its horrifying half form. The next terrifying figure comes from the folklore of South America. This creature is known as El Silbon, which means the whistler. Unlike many monsters that were always supernatural, the story of El Silbon begins with a human tragedy. Long ago, El Silbon was said to be an ordinary boy who lived with his family in a rural village. However, he was extremely spoiled. His parents gave him everything he wanted, and because of that, he grew up impatient, selfish, and used to getting his way. One day, the boy demanded that his father go out into the forest and hunt a deer, which was his favorite food. Wanting to make his son happy, the father went into the wilderness to hunt. But hunting is never guaranteed. After spending hours searching through the forest, the father returned home empty-handed. He had not been able to catch anything that day. Instead of understanding the situation, the boy became furious. His anger grew so intense that it pushed him to commit a terrible act that would change his fate forever and give birth to one of the most chilling legends in folklore. Blinded by anger and disappointment, the boy lost control of himself. In a moment of rage, he did something so horrible that it would forever mark him with a terrible curse. He killed his own father. But the horror did not end there. After committing the unthinkable act, the boy cut out his father's organs and carried them back to his home. When he arrived, he handed them to his mother and calmly told her that his father had brought meat from the hunt. Believing her son, the mother began to cook the meat. However, as she prepared the meal, she slowly began to suspect that something was terribly wrong. The pieces of meat did not look like anything her husband would normally bring back from hunting. Soon the terrible truth became clear. The meat she had been cooking was not from any animal at all. It was the remains of her own husband. When the horrifying reality was discovered, grief and rage filled the household, and the family knew that the boy's terrible crime could not go unpunished. When the truth about the boy's crime was revealed, his family was overcome with grief and anger. The boy was immediately captured and tied to a wooden post so he could not escape. As punishment for the terrible act he had committed, he was whipped mercilessly. Each strike of the whip left deep wounds across his body. To make the punishment even more painful, his wounds were rubbed with alcohol, chili peppers, and lemon juice, causing unbearable burning and agony. But the punishment was not finished. The boy's grandfather, filled with sorrow and rage, decided that the boy's crime deserved something far worse than physical pain. He placed a terrible curse upon him. The boy was forced to carry a large sack filled with his father's bones, and he was condemned to wander the world forever with this burden on his back. Finally, to complete the punishment, 2 starving dogs were released and ordered to chase him into the wilderness. As the cursed boy ran into the darkness, the legend says he was transformed into something no longer human. From that night on, the wandering spirit known as El Silbon was born. After the curse, El Silbon was said to wander endlessly through forests and lonely roads at night. Over time, the once human boy became a terrifying spirit feared by anyone who heard his approach. Many descriptions portray El Silbon as a tall, skeletal figure, sometimes said to reach nearly 6 meters in height. His body appears thin and lifeless, like a walking skeleton. Slung over his shoulder is the same sack filled with bones, which according to legend still contains the remains of his father. But the most chilling sign of El Silbon's presence is not his appearance, it is his whistle. On quiet nights, people claim to hear a long, haunting whistle drifting through the darkness. The sound moves slowly through the air, echoing across fields and forests. Yet the whistle has a strange and terrifying rule. If the whistling sounds close, it means El Silbon is actually far away. But if the whistle sounds distant, then the cursed spirit may already be very near. Some stories even say that on certain nights, El Silbon will stand outside a house and empty his sack onto the ground, counting the bones one by one in the darkness. If someone inside hears him, they will likely be safe. But if he finishes counting before sunrise without being noticed, it is said that someone in that house will die, and their bones will be added to his sack. From the cold and stormy Orkney Islands of Scotland comes the legend of one of the most disturbing creatures in European folklore, the Nuckelavee. This terrifying being is believed to be a demon from the sea, bringing disease, death, and destruction wherever it appears. The appearance of the Nuckelavee is truly horrifying. It is often described as a giant horse-like creature with no skin, exposing its raw muscles and dark blood vessels. Black blood is said to pulse through yellowish veins that cover its entire body, creating a nightmarish sight. What makes the creature even more terrifying is the upper part of its body. Attached to the back of the horse is a massive human torso without legs, fused directly into the creature's back as if the rider and the horse were a single being. Its long arms hang down so far that they can almost touch the ground. The Nuckellavee's head is enormous, and the horse's mouth is always open, releasing a toxic breath that spreads sickness and decay. According to legend, this poisonous breath can destroy crops, kill livestock, and bring terrible epidemics to entire communities. People feared that whenever the Nuckelavee rose from the sea, disaster would soon follow. However, there was one small hope for escape. Like many creatures connected to the ocean, the Nuckelavee cannot cross fresh water. Because of this weakness, anyone being chased by the creature might survive by crossing a river or stream, leaving the monster trapped on the other side. The final creature on this list may be the most disturbing of all. The legend comes from the culture of the Navajo people in the southwestern United States. These mysterious beings are known as skinwalkers. Unlike many monsters in mythology, a skinwalker is not born as a creature. Instead, it is believed to be a human who has chosen to practice powerful dark magic. In Navajo tradition, there are spiritual healers, often called medicine men. These individuals study sacred knowledge and use their abilities to heal people, protect communities, and maintain balance. Skinwalkers, however, are considered the complete opposite. They are witches who use similar knowledge, but for evil purposes. According to legend, to gain the full power of a skinwalker, a person must commit a horrifying act, killing a close member of their own family, often a sibling. After performing this terrible ritual, they gain the ability to transform into animals. Skinwalkers usually take the form of dangerous predators such as wolves, coyotes, foxes, or bears, allowing them to move quickly and hunt in the darkness. They can also imitate the sounds of animals or even human voices to lure victims. There is said to be one unsettling detail that reveals their true nature. When a skinwalker appears in animal form, its eyes may look strangely human. And when it returns to human form, its eyes may resemble those of an animal. During the day, these witches are believed to walk among ordinary people, completely unnoticed. But when night falls, they transform and move through the darkness, spreading fear, illness, and misfortune wherever they go. For this reason, many people consider the legend of the Skinwalker to be one of the most frightening stories ever told, because the monster might not be hiding in the wilderness at all. It might be hiding among humans,